Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a Melbourne rainy, overcast, some would say miserable morning. I like rainy days. Just a little bit of a warning. I may be called out and get a phone call. I'm expecting the family dog is in emergency. My mother's dog, it's been in the family for a very long time, and he's not doing well, and we're pretty much expecting the worst today. And so, the stream may and probably will be cut short, but I will go as long as I can. And I'm just expecting a not so nice day and a phone call, but it has to be done. So the family dog Chester looks like not doing very well, but there's a little bit of a chance he could do well, but if he's going to suffer, well, we know what we probably have to do. So anyway, let's get on to the topic, shall we? That was a great introduction. Positive. Anyway, I had as always, I go through what may constitute for a interesting discussion during this week's stream. And just a couple of days ago, Quasimandias, he dropped a suggestion for a topic that I've touched on, but in the way he discussed it, I thought it was really good reiterating. And we went through a few exchanges. It was basically about the value of picking a partner, the intelligent way to pick a partner. So the difference between perceived value and what is actually valuable to you. That was the crux of the campfire we were talking around. Now, I distilled the most important part of our discussion in a little section here, and it goes as this: regarding intelligent partner selection. Quaz said, "You can't win by choosing based on attractiveness alone. You will only achieve temporary satisfaction. Rather, the key is to focus on the good enough." Now, I've talked about this in the past a few times, with Karu notably, I think, as well, where people have people have lost the ability and the acuity to really appreciate what is really good enough for you. And everyone's trying to get the best, which is fine. You get the best you're able to, what's within reach and what's reasonable and realistic. But I think people feel like the word good enough, or knowing what's good for you, or this is good enough for me, and chasing perfect all the time, and they never achieve it. Good enough to a lot of people seems like they're settling. You know that word? I don't want to settle. I don't want to settle. It doesn't mean you take shit. It means that you know what is decent. You don't go to the supermarket when you need a bag of sugar and you're asking them to import it from, I don't know, the Versace hotel in Paris or something. Sugar is sugar. You know, at some point, you have to be reasonable about what is good for you. And there are some people that everyone says are high value and they're really attractive, they're 10s. And the funny thing is they don't focus on whether their personality, who they are, how compatible they are with you, is that a matching 10? Does the external beauty match the internal? But also, does the external beauty that you might be chasing after, and that might be your standard, is it really yours? Or is it a standard that's agreed upon by your friend group that you trust and respect? And so you defer to the woman your family wants you to marry, what the church says, what your friends will shame you for if you pick below their standards or outside of their standards. A lot of this comes into it, and a lot of people think, nah, that's my standards too. Me and my friends, we're so similar, we pick the same kind of girls. And I think, really, with my friends and the people I know, the people who are genuine and really introspect and look at who they are and what kind of person they are and what they need as a compatible partner, I have found very few that are like everybody else. The people that are like everyone else are the people that feel comfortable in the church, the group, what the family wants, what I should do, what the community wants, what the species wants. And there's nothing wrong with wrong with that, but knowing what you value compared to what is objectively valuable for everyone else, and you want to satisfy that first before you satisfy your subjective personal value, you need to be aware that you're doing that. Some people are very blind to that. For instance, let's just as a quick summation of the difference between worth and value. What is what's the monetary value of a condom? $1. What is it worth to you if you get someone pregnant or not? There's a difference between what is objectively how much this costs, or everyone thinks, okay, that chick is a 10, a 9 or a 10. She could be a model. Now, would you go out with her? That's another thing. That requires some other eyes, some other analysis, another measure of, okay, this is another context. She might be beautiful. She might be fun. But is she someone I can spend time with? Is she someone I want to introduce to my family? Is she someone who will stick by me? Can I count on her? Things like that. That's very, very different. I've said that there's not many objectively beautiful 10s out there who are also beautiful, empathetic, wonderful people. Most of them are narcissists and are conditioned to be narcissists because they have to push away a lot of creeps. Everyone wants them. Just the way nature is, I suppose. I can understand why a lot of 10s out there aren't soft, beautiful, open, understanding people. They need to create a thick skin to be able to survive in a world where everyone is clawing at them and wanting them. And it's almost like, what, are they just going to be meat for animals, or are they going to protect themselves? So again, getting back to the cost of something and its value, it's very important that you know what the value is to you versus what the objective cost is, and everyone agrees upon it. A Porsche is a certain value and it's held in some sort of high esteem. Whether or not you like a Porsche or not, it's up to you. Whether or not you like Ferraris or whatever your taste is. Same with blondes, brunettes or whatever. But when you really have to kind of pick one, and this is one you have to hold close and live with, and it has to be compatible with you, now we have to see, is it valuable? Is it worth something to you? Not just what are women like, what is the cost of the average woman? Okay, if you're prepared to pay it, can you live with it? Is it valuable enough to you for the trade-offs and the things like that? And Quaz goes on to say, rather the key is to focus on the good enough. Yes, the good enough is your specific standard. The good enough is what I can live with, what my comfortable trade-offs are, what I'm prepared to pay in my life, time and attention, stress, all of those kind of levels. What is good for me? Good, good enough, same thing. It's not settling. A lot of guys do settle just to play it safe. They settle by not even picking women, fair enough. They settle for really, really ugly women because they're just so afraid that no matter what, a woman is one step away from just ruining a man's life. So you really need to know the subjective value of your partner, because I see so many people trying to pick on what everyone finds attractive or what everyone thinks is a high value person. Rocket says, never date a person who is extremely beautiful to others. It's a living hell. Yeah, maybe for me, the unicorn is an extremely beautiful person that everyone wants, but is magically just fixated on you, and they can ignore the world, and the world hasn't affected them. Their whole life of being asked to be a model, and every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there wants to be with them, that person is just stoically good at letting all of that wash past them. And when you came around, somehow they were grateful they finally got your attention. Not the world's attention, yours, for some reason. Now, if you're just an average guy, be suspicious. Why? You know? So it's not impossible, but for me, that's the unicorn that a lot of guys are chasing, probably a lot of girls too, when they chase the bad boy. They hope he'll be something he's not. And I think guys who go for hot women who most often turn out not to have hot personalities, they're either cold or dead or cruel inside. They also hope that there's a unicorn there instead of what plainly most likely is. So, if you would, actually, let me finish Quaz's comment. I keep interrupting in between. He says, rather the key is to focus on good enough, but the absence of the extreme deal-breaking negative traits. Rather the key is to focus on the good enough, but absent of the extreme deal-breaking negative traits. Yes. It's more important to avoid what you hate. Yes. Chasing what is attractive is a losing game. What one should seek is that which scratches the itch but has no downside, or very little. Nothing's perfect. All you can do is mitigate the risks. What is the trade-off? And a trade-off that's nothing to you. Might not be nothing to someone else, but what's a good trade-off to you? For instance, I introduced the family dog, probably about to pass away. And you can say, well, I'm not going to even have a dog because I don't want to have this moment. But then you're negating yourself the 10 to 15 years or whatever, depending on the breed you've got, of fun and enjoyment. 15 years of fun you could be having in your life just because the dog, through no fault of its own, only has a limited lifespan, or much limited compared to a human being, 7 times less. So again, what's the trade-off you're prepared to live with? If it's complete safety, don't ever get a dog. Don't ever get a girlfriend. Live in your bubble. Curate a perfect digital world that repeats itself every day with your discussions with the guys or girls online. Play your video game. Recycle, recycle, recycle. Fine. But be aware of what you're doing and the trade-offs. If you want something, if you want a dog, be prepared for the sadness afterwards. There is a price to be paid. You're sad because you had so many happy times. You love the dog, therefore, of course, you're sad later. So, this is important. Something Quaz said here I want to go back to rather than, again, interrupting it. The absence of extreme... It's more important to avoid what you hate. What I find baffling, absolutely baffling, and I know a lot of people are masochistically titillated by drama. You know, girls like watching reality TV. I get it. It stimulates something in them. Like they don't like it, but it's like you can't help slowing down and watching a car crash. There's just some morbid fascination with it. There's something to do with drama. These guys on like the Fresh and Fit and whatever podcasts, they are frustrated trying to negotiate with the types of women that infuriate them. They are trying to negotiate with things they hate, and you condition yourself to love what you hate and negotiate what you hate and love the drama of the reality TV style girlfriends you are talking to on those channels, that you are watching on these podcasts, that you go out there and you notice because they're familiar. Familiarity is what you are drawn to. Whether you say you don't or you do, consider how many people say, yeah, I'm on Tinder, I'm hooking up, it's fun, I'm single, but I'm really looking for something meaningful. Yet you never will if you're enjoying it. Just be honest about it. If you are really serious about finding a stable, committed, long-term relationship, you would get off that merry-go-round and go on another ride that is more conducive, stable, and that's where the more long-term people are. Stop looking for a unicorn in an environment where there aren't any. Look for where they most likely are. I'm not going to fish for salmon on top of Everest. You know, it baffles me, these people that pretend. And some of them are very intelligent. Like they feel like they're in these podcasts and they're arguing, or you go to places, bars, pubs, and same type of girls. I like what I like. You are hoping that these people that annoy you just because you're used to them and they're comfortable. Maybe your mother or your father was overbearing and it's some sort of drama character or interaction there that you find them familiar and attractive. You find nice, decent, calm, stable, everyday people boring. You know, you want your relationship to be exciting. You're a guy, you can't even get it up for a girl that's decent. That's your problem, but be aware of it. You can't just say, well, I like car wrecks. Sorry, that's the only thing that turns me on. But stop saying, well, until a car wreck that's stable and decent, until a car wreck that's not a car wreck comes along, I'll keep doing this. It's, you know, what can I tell you if you're deluding yourself? There's a lot of intelligent people out there, verbally intelligent people that can gaslight not just other people. A lot of guys talk about women that gaslight them, but you gaslight yourself by believing it. And a lot of these people, they're not, you know, intelligent villains where they're gaslighting you and they know what they're doing. They're bullshitting themselves as they're bullshitting you. And you're believing the bullshit because you both want to believe that fairy tale. You feel good. You know, it's like watching a movie where you're caught up in it and you forget you're watching a movie because it's so good. You're not in reality. Hello to the regulars. I'll mention some of the regulars here. If you're here, you want to interact, ask me a question during the stream, or give me your thoughts about choosing someone who's good for you just compared to choosing what's objectively beautiful or what everyone says is valuable, and knowing really what is valuable to you. What is good enough for you? Not just what is valuable. Be realistic. What's good for you? It doesn't need to be perfect where you have to show it off to everyone else to feel better that you've actually found the right person for you. If you have to validate it by the crowd, do you really know what you want? And more importantly, do you really know who you are and what's compatible for you in relation to a partner? Or is a partner just a trophy that you parade around and you have children with and it's all very bland for you? Is it? What you want is a lot less exciting. It's what you want and who you are is most likely 99.9% of us is not Instagrammable. It's not a video that people click on. It doesn't get likes. It's not the OMG, you have to watch this video that goes viral. What you want, your life is not viral. It's not. And everyone keeps going for it. It's your life, waste it if you want, or enjoy it where it actually is. It's up to you. Hello to the regulars who are here on the stream. Boffin, how are you, man? Peg, Luke, David P, Melee, Silva, Rocket, how are you, dude? Alonzo, all the regulars are here today. Nothing but regulars. Phil Brad, okay, you're a new person, but everyone else is a regular. Thanks for showing up. Nico. All right, so yeah, just, you know, what a lot of people quite easily know what they don't like. Know what girls to avoid, but then you keep coming back to them. You keep watching them in podcasts. You keep watching versions of your ex-girlfriend that treated you like shit. Have you really moved on? No, you haven't. Very, very many guys who love going their own way don't actually like going anywhere. They don't. Nostalgically shackled to a memory. Bring traditionalism back. My ex will be sorry. She'll be sorry. She'll live with cats later on. It's kind of like it's all just stuck in a memory. Going your own way. Are you? Really? Are you? Anyway. Also, for those of you who are interested, I had a discussion with my wife Stephanie a couple of days ago about are date nights necessary for committed couples, you know, husbands, wives, committed relationships, serious ones. After the honeymoon period, the stuff you do, especially going out and having attentive special moments that you organize, and are they important, or should your relationship just automatically stay on that level? Should it just take care of itself? I know most of my subscribers, along with me, would know the answer, and the way I think is that which you care about always requires maintenance. So you can't just go to the gym once. You have to go there and maintain your health. You have to read books and have healthy, intelligent, objective, mature conversations to keep your mind healthy. Your relationship isn't a set and forget. It needs maintenance, and not maintenance that you hate. If you hate going out with your partner, that's a red flag. It probably means you don't like being around them. It's something to address too. But that level of honesty and knowing that, yeah, you can get comfortable, complacent, and lazy and take yourself for granted, just like you can take your own health for granted when you're single. But when you have a relationship, you do need to maintain it. You have to do the basics. Let's go out and have a bite. Let's go for a drive. Do the bare minimum. You have to. It can get old. You know? They talk about people who don't, you don't have bedroom fun as much. Yeah, are you bored too? Can you be bothered? It's not just her that she's not gagging for it every day, but do you want it? Do you make an effort? People get complacent. They do. Some people, their partner was a 9 or in their eyes. And then later on, just because they get lazy, they just appear to them to be like a 5. And they're only reminded of what they have if a relationship ends or something happens and they go, I had it really good. What was I doing? You were being lazy. So if you would like to leave a message if you're here, please add 3 smiley face emojis like this example here. 3 yellow smiley faces before, not after, before your question. And I will read it if you are decent and not an idiot online. All right. Let's see. Tube the Noob. He says, this isn't a question for the internet to answer. Each one of us wants or needs something different. This is true. Yeah, we all need some binding factor, but this is a hard topic to tackle in a podcast. It is. What I hope to do with my videos and streams is help you think better in terms of knowing what you want, articulating what you feel, and able to do this with others. Notably, if you go on a date, you know how to exercise this introspection, thought process, verbalize, hear feedback. You know, the thing we're doing now, the conversations I hope you have with friends that you know are friends, getting to the heart of what problems are, knowing why you love someone, knowing why you hate someone, knowing why you're walking on eggshells. Is it butterflies because you're excited and nervous? Or is it eggshells because you're afraid and you can't say anything to Chicky Poo? Butterflies and eggshells with the person initially seem very, very familiar, and you might not know which they are, and all it takes is for some idiot to say, oh yeah, it's normal to be nervous like this. It's normal to have doubts when you're walking up the aisle to marry someone. Yeah, that's normal. It's normal to fight. Like, people can make you doubt what you're feeling, and knowing what you want, as he said, as Tube the Noob says, we all have a specific, or we have various specific binding factors to other people or other things that are meaningful for us. If we just vibe with everything and not know, you could go around life not really feeling secure or in control, that you're always like this. I hope we stay together. I hope I can write well tomorrow. I hope I enjoy my hobby or it doesn't disappear tomorrow. I hope. It's this nervous, demoralized feeling that everything could disappear tomorrow and that you have absolutely no control over anything. Absolutely none. Now, things are fleeting. Like I said, the family dog looks like it may probably pass away. But there are other things that you convince yourself that everything's fleeting because you're too lazy to put your hands on anything to have any kind of control. So there are different binding factors for each of us. What I find essential, attractive, and compatible in a partner for me is I would not guess maybe different, but for sure different to you and the next person to you. There are objective similarities that would make for a healthy relationship. Someone who doesn't throw plates at you and, want to destroy your life and is on medication and goes to therapy every day and is on the edge. I think that objectively wouldn't be good for anyone, and you wouldn't recommend that for anyone. But what is specific for you is very different for everyone else. The specifics of what is valuable to you in a partner, what is compatible for you in a partner, is what I want each of us through these conversations to realize. They just help you think about what is important to you. There is no magic solution. The thing you need to find in a person, these three things, if you find them in a person, marry them, commit to them, take them off the dating pool, and you'll have a perfectly wonderful, happy life. No. Before Stephanie, almost all of my relationships, they were decent people. They weren't compatible with me, and you start being irritated by the dumbest things. You want more time alone. You can't communicate. You're not on each other's side. You're two polite people frustrated at why you just can't fit together. But you're not compatible, and that's it. The world is mostly full of incompatible, selfish, rude, obnoxious people who don't know who they are. They're 5-year-olds that just gimme, me with no clue. That's the majority of everyone out there. You've got slightly more advanced people who were raised maybe a bit better, relatively decent, but still, sorry, not compatible with me. There are a lot of arranged marriages where people were taught to be a certain way and be respectable, and you can tolerate a person and be respectful and get, tolerate a marriage or a relationship just based on etiquette and being polite. You can. But for the people who just cannot live a life, living quiet desperation with only politeness and no color in their life, not able to be themselves, not talk with their significant other the way they can talk with their family and friends, where they can be themselves 100%. If I have to curate myself around Stephanie, if you have to curate yourself around who you say you love and who's the closest person to you, if you've got half a brain cell, that it's not true. RoboGarda says, "Hi, human. Have you read any new modern philosophers, or do you find yourself going back to the ancient greats?" I oscillate between the two depending on who I'm talking to, what I run across, what pops in my head in the discussion, or what I'm recommended. So it depends. There's a lot of, not a great many, they're diminishing. There's a fair few good introspective writers, but it comes from people who have the courage to look in the mirror and ask the hard questions, especially about themselves, not always point at the world all the time. But no, this modern philosophers, what do you deem as modern? The last 100 years? Or in your lifetime? So the modern philosophers of my lifetime, mainly writers in my lifetime that were alive and maybe now are no longer here, maybe. But there's also the ones in the last 100 years. And the ancients, the ones who've been around for a while, yeah, I think it's a mixture of all the medicine that you need at the time. So if you're really struggling with a question, and then an author who laid out a thought really well and it stood the test of time, really speaks to you in that moment, it's sometimes you find the best philosophers. And sometimes it's people that aren't necessarily called philosophers. I think someone who was more of a philosopher than a writer was Dostoevsky, but people just consider him a writer, which he is. Or Bukowski as well. I still respect him to a degree, not necessarily his life and his choices and things like that, but the simple truths he elucidated. So I think good writers are good philosophers. There are modern intellectuals who can also speak well. They don't just think and write well. They can also is this a word, oratorily, like as orators, they can voice it eloquently. They've got a good vernacular. They're good public speakers. Someone like a Jordan Peterson, although Jordan Peterson gets a bit theatrical and, you know, starts running downhill with his lexicon sometimes, and you think, you know, pull it back a little bit, buddy. But he's good too. That's the reason why he's become popular. Melee says, not being cynical, women choose us more than we choose them. Yeah, and they, at the end of the day, they have the final say in whether, actually no. And then after that, if she says yes, we should have the power of choosing whether or not a relationship happens after that. So tricky dynamic, but you've got to be aware of it. So women have a lot of power reproductively in the courting ritual. They can be passive. Men have to put in a lot of the effort, and you just have to be aware of how you may or may not find yourself in a relationship, and how much of the decision making you're putting in, how much effort you want to put in into chasing. Are they worth it? Are her standards ridiculous? Are you just a guy to provide her a lifestyle, or does she really enjoy your company and personality? What is most important to her? If you don't talk, if you don't voice what's important, like I always tended to, especially as I got older, a girl who embarrassingly couldn't provide the friendship, the company, the intellectual curiosity and conversation that I'm giving with you and that I have with Stephanie, you could see she shrinks. She doesn't know how to answer. She doesn't know how to talk with me. And I'm not talking to this degree of, you know, verbal acuity. I'm trying to meet her halfway and getting a sense of how she talks, but I want to talk about meaningful stuff, and some people are just empty. But yeah, Melee, mostly women are the way they are. You just have to go to dates with the intent of, well, I'm prepared to meet them part way if I find them physically attractive, and seeing if there's something common halfway that we both want to be together with, and that meeting together halfway, is that a place you can sustain together? Like, you know, because it's very rare you're going to meet someone who's a carbon copy of you. Most times you're strangers and you do the handshake halfway. You have to do that. And then as you're doing the handshake halfway and getting to know each other, you find out, is this handshake sustainable? And how much of this is this handshake between us? Is it a short distance? Are we really close? So much so as that I'm getting to know her, the handshake disappears and we're in the same bubble? Or is the handshake at a comfortable distance where, okay, we never live together, we're never getting married, we're comfortable with a certain type of distance and this level of intimacy? You know, you have to have that handshake and be aware of how you're greeting and meeting each other partway with that handshake on a date. The more honest you are, and if you really need you to be a very close handshake, but a lot of people aren't honest, unfortunately. They'll say, oh yeah, I can live with this. I can live with a really distant handshake and have a really distant relationship because she's fun and interesting. Not my kind of person. It feels like an interesting holiday, but it's okay. I can go back home. I can keep traveling back and forth. You effectively are having a long distance relationship with an exciting destination. You go back home. There's a lot of effort to go back. You need time away. You go back. So you have this long distance holiday experience of a relationship, but you need to know how close you need it. And I know what you mean, Melee, that, you know, most women are cynical. Women have this nature, but at the end of the day, you also know what you need. And when you meet someone, you need to be very real about the trade-off. Like, is this handshake comfortable? Am I actually speaking to her? And in a playful way, are we interrogating each other in a courageous way where we're really finding out who we are in 3 dimensions? We're being honest. We're not playing a game. Can I live with this? Or even more, this person's great. The trade-offs don't even feel like trade-offs. Yeah, the trade-off is I have to watch a romantic movie here and there. That'll be fun. It's not going to be like pulling nails, you know? So, yeah, women do choose us more, but depends when in the courting phase. Yeah, we can't just take women like we used to. That would be easier. And I think a lot of them, without knowing it, would be happier, but that's another discussion. But let's see. Yeah, Robert says, don't lie to yourself about bad women. They're not angels. They're human as well. Often some women are more cruel and horrible than men could ever be. Have you not eavesdropped, but even just accidentally heard the way women speak in private, how cruel and heartless and cold they can be? Not all of them, but don't believe the marketing that they and everyone else try and prop up for women. I think that largely the marketing of women, sugar and spice and all things nice and nature makes them beautiful for us. It's for a reason. There's so much window dressing around the image of women, especially in the West. The marketing and the makeup and just everything and the belief and the religion around women. And don't you speak out against women. That's blasphemy. You know, all women are beautiful. They're never at fault. Like, why such hyped marketing? Whoa. If you need to really push how great this thing is, I'm starting to have suspicions about it, especially because everyone I know is not getting married. Every one of my friends is getting divorced. Every one of my friends, their wives cheat on them or do this. Like, why such hyped marketing around Western women? Why do you need to sell them and force them down our throat and shame men into manning up and being better for these women? Why? When you hear about it, it's not necessarily that men need to man up for themselves. It's always, you need to man up. Why? Well, for society and women. That's why. It's not because we really want the best for you. You guys would need to man up to have better lives. And, you know, you just need more self-esteem. The world isn't trying to be Tony Robbins helping men to just be good people in and of themselves to raise their self-esteem. It's just why? Why do you want us to man up and be better versions of ourselves? For you. So we can be high-value men with a large financial bank account and a Ferrari and a mansion. It's for you, buddy. It's like, yeah, really, is it? No, we'd be happy in a cardboard box, as Chappelle said. Anyway. Michelle says, hi, human. Did you have to sit down and write down what a good enough partner would comprise, or did you went on your sense of feeling good without stumbling into a big orange flags, you'd say? I did write. I've always written down a lot. I've always written my thoughts down. Really, you know that scene in the movie where a guy's writing frantically, screwing up the paper, throwing it away, starting again, and he's trying to kind of start the novel. I was forever every day writing, and it wasn't an exercise of like, I'm journaling because it's hip and healthy today and it's cool. I was journaling, writing stories. I wanted to make sense of things from a very young age. So I was always writing. When I think I've had so much written introspection and trying to have these conversations from a young age, and even with women, not much effect there, but I always had this compulsion to, no, I want to fix this. I don't like feeling like this. I don't like failing, or why are my relationships not working? I was always trying to work it out. So I did once or twice put a column on the left and a column on the right and say, you know, I'm stuck at the crossroads. Do I leave or do I stay? What do I want in a woman? What's important? What's not? What's valuable? I did do that sometimes, but I kind of knew. And then I would go on dates talking in a way where I would talk about the negatives and the positives. I think I just find myself naturally talking from both columns in conversation. I don't sit there and start thinking in this column and then switch that off and do that. And then when I'm in front of people, I'm just on autopilot again. I think I was really obsessed with being better at this, not just thinking about it better, but in real time and conversing and being honest with the person in front of me. I hated how I was different from when I was honest on paper, and then when I was going on date and I just shut my mouth and I just took it and I did what a guy should do and I never asked the question and I didn't have the courage enough to speak the words that I was having the courage to do on paper. So in a roundabout way, yes, I did put a lot of things on paper. Not as much column A, column B, although I think a lot of people might need that. I'm a person that writes a lot and thinks a lot. If you're not necessarily a person like me, a very basic thing is to just write those 2 columns. What's important to you? What's superficially just attractive and fun for you? And just knowing the difference between the two. So just because when you say them or see them on paper, they become real. A lot of people don't want to write and speak like this because they have to be confronted with reality. When you hear yourself getting on a little podium and saying, yep, this is what I want. I'm done with this. I'm no longer being with you. When you hear yourself saying it to a chick that's pretty, that you would really like to be your future girlfriend, but you just have to say your honest piece. And it's more important to you to be honest with a girl who may be perfect for you in your eyes because she's pretty, but it's more important to you to be completely honest. And if she goes away because you're being honest, at least that is 100% real. You have to get to the point of being very honest with yourself. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. It does. Tube the Noob says, we all wear masks to get on in the world. Everyone does. Perhaps the only one you should be with is the one you can let most, if not all, of the mask fall off and be your true self. Yes, let them fall off. Spurg out. Do whatever you got to do. If you're not embarrassed about the way you act, be the way you are. But don't lie about no one wants to be your friend. No girl wants to be around you. Doesn't matter what you do, where you go, what tactics you use. Be yourself. But if it's not working and you're pissed off no one wants to be around you, I'm sorry, it's probably you. You need to temper some of it. Like I temper myself at work. In a professional environment, you have to kind of be yourself, but formalize a little bit. When you go to church, you have to formalize yourself a bit. When you're in front of elders, parents, other people, you're still yourself, but you know how to intelligently adjust for the situation. You know when you can wear a t-shirt at a certain situation, when you need to wear a suit. You can't just always be a 5-year-old and do whatever you want and emote, and everyone else has to deal with it. Don't be Marilyn Monroe everywhere and then complain about the Marilyn Monroes everywhere when you are the male version of Marilyn Monroe. As in, if they can't deal with me at my worst, they don't deserve me at my best. Don't be that stupid, you know? Human, would you say that a person's value is measured on who they shack with? As in who they end up living with? I am seeing a ton of hate from people choosing to be alone. Thoughts? Yeah, that's a great topic in and of itself. I love being on my own. I don't need anyone. It's like, you sound very angry. Can you tone it down, dude? I love this. It's like you're Tony Robbinsing yourself really vocally at a volume of 10 every time you speak about freedom. I understand when you get out of prison, right? You burst out of the gates and you scream you're free, right? You've been free for weeks, months, years, and you're still screaming. You are trying to recreate the point of freedom, and you've got nothing free to go to. That is your problem. It's the same with the feminists out there. They are recycling patriarchy, and they're making up anything to recreate the feeling of when it meant something, when they felt free. And now they're not interested in the grammar to go anywhere. They're still standing outside of the prison. I feel like most people online that are concerned with absolute freedom and blaming the other sex, there's like this massive people outside the prison. They're free, and they're just the mass of the population is outside of a prison. They've got all the freedom they want, and they don't want to go anywhere because it's the big unknown, and it's safer amongst all the people that are really happy to be free and talking about how they're happy to be free and they could date anyone and they could do anything. And let me just hold on to this feeling a little bit more before I do anything, be anything. You never are. You're just wanting to recycle that feeling over and over again. Choosing something, I can see how it kind of could be boring because it's like, okay, now I'm going to choose that one thing, and I'm going to let go of every other possible choice that it could be. It's just this one thing, one person, one direction. This is what I'm going to choose. I know. Making a choice cuts off every other interesting possibility that could have happened, but that's reality. What do I tell you? Don't get angry at me because you won't make a choice. But it is true. A ton of hate from people choosing to be alone and free. So those are my thoughts on those people. You can tell how they're just so vocal. They just kind of keep spinning their wheels around, I'm free, I'm free, I'm free. No one can tell me what to do. I'll do whatever I want. I'm free, I'm free, I'm free. And then you're pointing at other people who are also yelling at how they want to be free. And none of you are on the same page because everyone just wants to be free, do nothing, get everyone else to do the work. I want to be free, do nothing, but I expect a Victoria's Secret supermodel. I want to be free, do nothing, but I believe in universal basic income where other people work for me and just give me money for free. I believe in reparations because, I don't know, I don't want to do it. Just whatever it is. It's just laziness and a lack of will or courage. Yes, I know some people have a hard time, and where they are, it's much harder for them. And you don't know, human. It's hard for me where I am and who I live with, and I can't move from this position. I get it. But yeah, in the Western world, birth will not go down. Too many benefits of having Chad children, but fewer men will be fathers. Yeah. Look, you're going to, initially, a lot of immigrants will come, but their children will be conditioned by the fun of this society. Religion will drop off. But people will just they just want people to keep pumping out kids so they got more taxes from more people and they control more people. And the point is to keep us scared and juvenile. Melee. Silva is 6'6". My brother's 6'5". I'm 6'2". Yeah, Silva would have had probably a lot of attention from women simply because of his height. All right, let me just quickly graze through. Tube the Noob, I have to run, but thank you, human, and the rest of you for you listening in. Such a group of classy folks. Take care of yourself. Awesome. Nice compliment for me and the people that tune in. Yeah, good bunch of people. I might complain here and there about the odd drive-by Spurg that leaves a nasty comment, but 98% of the subscribers are great. You guys are great. It just stands out when an idiot drops into the comment section. It's kind of like, you've got a bowl full of blue M&Ms and then some red M&M just gets dropped in. It's kind of, whoa, that's disruptive. Robert says 50% of marriage ends in divorce. Whatever marriage was, it's not that anymore. But also you need to take into context the kind of people that are getting married. You listen to their stories. It's not just the fact of, yes, subjectively, most marriages end in divorce. But it's the way people are, how reckless they are too. Do they talk? I go to random barbecues, family events. Most people are not like me. I'm the odd one out. I'm not special. I'm the odd one out. Most of them drink a lot, love the football, have a dog, 2.5 kids, have the pickup truck, drive too fast, stimulated by, they're just more or less the same kind of people. And I'm really odd and different. I'm much more peculiar and I stand out. Now, when all of them get married, they probably belong to the divorce stats where a lot of people who are just going off emotion, not thinking about anything, they don't talk to each other. Yeah, it's kind of not surprising, especially today where you've got the freedom to think and fend for yourself and be independent. I'm surprised the divorce rate isn't higher, frankly. But the type of people you are makes a big difference. It does. And I'm not trying to deny the stats. but stats are a trend of the average person. If you are like everyone else, yeah, be very careful about doing something where the stats aren't in your favor. If you don't think about it and are determined to be different and really try and do things in a particular way where you've got a lot of control. But if you're on autopilot, you're driving too fast, you're doing what every irresponsible, reckless person out there does that cannot defer any gratification, they're not disciplined, they don't care about crashing their life into a wall, yeah, you'll be probably one of them. Yeah, Neanderthal says, it's quite easy to hate. Most women do that a lot. It's easy to tear down somebody else. It takes a second. It's easy to tear down a building that's taller than yours than build yours higher. It is. It's why women love being catty and backstabbing each other. It's just, you feel an automatic buzz. You want to feel good about doing something positive. You have to go on a run every couple of days and lose weight and get to a point that you put a lot of effort into feeling good. But you want to feel good really quickly? Do the lazy stuff that you don't respect. Do the lazy stuff that women do. Do the lazy stuff that criminals, sociopaths, all the people you laugh at that you pretend to be so much different to. Do what they do. The most expedient stuff is usually not the stuff you're going to be proud of, because everyone does it and everyone funnily complains about it, but they do it themselves. But I could stop at any time. Really? Can you? David P says, I'm short and use a wheelchair. I'm invisible to 99% of women. I don't really mind. Yeah, but not to, I'm sorry that you're in a wheelchair, David P., but at least there's a clarity of not bullshitting yourself at where you are. And if a woman likes you, she's not going to pretend you're going to be anything more than what you are. And then she's going to take you much more realistically than the fantasy she's made in your head before she even meets you. There is a realistic limitation. There's a reality she needs to snap into when she sees a guy in a wheelchair. And if she finds you attractive, wants to talk to you, is open in a relationship, at least there's a level of non-ambiguity there. So, but you've talked about this a little bit before, David, and I think your attitude is really good given your circumstances. So sorry to hear you're in a wheelchair, but yeah, sometimes your limitations can kind of be like, well, at least I know that. That's clarifying. I don't need to be distracted by what ifs, but what if she does this, or what if she likes me for this? You already know what she doesn't like you for. A lot of clarity has been made just by your circumstances. Quaz, who left the comment earlier that I read, his lifestyle living on the boat is already getting rid of a lot of the ambiguity of a lot of the women out there that he doesn't have to deal with anymore. And neither do you, simply because of your lifestyle and who you are in your lifestyle. So don't always take it as a given, like I don't have the vast majority of, I don't have the whole world to choose from. Sometimes it's good. Limiting your choices can make your life much, much better. In a lot of ways, it's better than going through all of the world and wasting so much time and having the same bullshit car wrecks that everyone else has until you decide to limit your choices. Sometimes your circumstances can help you in limiting your choices to clarify the people you have around you. So do the best with what you got, I suppose. Yeah, is another way of saying it. And Melee says, we could make a basketball team here. I will go point guard. I used to be point guard. I used to switch between point guard and small forward. My brother was usually center or power forward. Crummy VCR. I'm trying not to get not get much dopamine or serotonin. I don't like being on drugs. Feeling buzzed from shopping or conversation is something I'm trying to nullify as best I can. Okay. When women don't choose me, they make room for the women who do. It's a win-win situation. Yeah, exactly. See? I love your attitude, man. Do you want to have fun? Or do you want to kind of say, oh, well, these women don't want me. And why did that fail? It's like, this is what I have. This is who I am. This is what I want. This is how I speak. And if you don't like me, good. If you do like me, good. It is. It's real. It's clarifying. It's not, well, a lot of red flags. I won't say anything because I want to keep them around a bit more. Maybe this will turn into something. Maybe. Magical fairy tale, romantic movie, maybe. Yeah, right. Okay. Keep it real, keep it basic. Then all of a sudden, you can trust this person because they're so honest and real, and you're in a wheelchair. They see you for who you are. You see them for who they are as much as you can with the conversations you have. Keep it real, real, real. Even if to other people it's boring, to you it will make you feel secure. To you it will make you feel more safe than other people who are dating, who are on eggshells, who have to play the game and do what women say, and this is what men like, this is what women like. You don't have to play any of that. You're dealing with a personality that has much less to do with male-female nature and has much more to do with you two as individuals being intentional about being with each other and talking and being honest and knowing what your relationship looks like and knowing why you trust each other and knowing that, like, yeah, relationships can end, but the chances of us ending in the way we talk and are connected every day, hardly ever. That's like a really rare chance. Could be a small one, but compared to other people, it's almost an impossibility. Hayden Ben says, hey, human, most of my friends don't want to have children or to get married. So what does this mean for our civilization? Are we going to try to compensate with immigration and robots? Probably. But again, what are you supposed to do? Just marry garbage, marry incompatible people? You can't. So the system is doing its best to encourage women to be boss, girl power chicks, and I'm all that, and my standards are up here, but I can be a walrus. You know, they encourage people to be dysfunctional, for us to hate each other, to have more freedom without each other, to increase our idea of what a high value partner is. So we won't take anything that's just good enough or normal. So they keep doing it. But again, you can't just pick someone for the species. That means I just have to pick someone out there. So I'm going to have a terrible life, produce terrible people in this terrible environment, and the kids are just going to be on iPhones. So what do? The best thing you could do is curate your own life, be the example, and try to find the very, 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 very rare people out there for you. But the more intentional you go about it, they become less rare. And the more of those that multiply, the culture may change into the future. Because all of this stuff, we've got a world full of internet, color, TikTok. You can do and have any excuse. A man can be a woman, whatever you want. Make up your world. Everyone is going nuts and no one's happy. We can do and say everything we want. No one's happy. So I can't see this lasting for very long because it just doesn't make sense. We've kind of like burst into a candy store and everyone's got like a sugar headache already. And I think it's going to bounce back. It's not going to go back to traditionalism, but this needs to be sorted out. So I think all you can do is be sensible, have sensible, good, decent standards by which you pick a partner, or stay on your own and keep your sanity. But be objective. Don't kind of just blame everyone and all women are the same and stuff. Be the best person you can be. Have good friends and be proud of yourself. Try and live a life where you're proud of yourself tomorrow, not where you're angry and acting like the idiots that you don't like. Does that rant make sense? Robert says, Silva, optimism is not a strategy. 50% chance of failure on anything is very bad. Yeah, but how you are. Do you think that... Look, I've met these people and I don't understand them. You can call me delusional. I grew up when I discovered that I could draw. I love drawing and I didn't care. Most people I meet, they say, I started drawing when I was a kid, but then I saw other people were better than me, then I gave up. And I'm thinking, what? I don't care that other people, I'm not as good. I don't care that I'll never be Picasso. I know what I get out of the thing in and of itself. Do you know what you get out of a relationship? Do you know what you get out of your kind of person? I have a very strong autotelic sense of, in and of itself, why I enjoy doing something, why someone is good for me, why the conversations I have. These conversations, I know not everyone likes them, but I love having them. I know that I love drawing. You can't stop me. Do you get it? But everyone allows the world to stop them because the world says no. Your parents say no. No, you can't date her. You might find her pretty interesting and you feel really comfortable with her, but she's not high value, dude. Shame, shame, shame. Women shame you. Your bros shame you. The government shames you. Your parents shame you. At what point are you sick of shame? And it's like, why can't I just do something I love for the thing in and of itself? I see a lot of guys who just like video games. Good for them. No one tells me what to do. I'm not going to apologize for liking video games. Don't. But extend that to other things in your life too. Don't take the stats with a grain of salt. If you don't know what you want, and if you don't stubbornly, without apology, live your life the way you want, and especially if you know you're not hurting anyone, then you will be part of the stats because you're too gutless. You are. You're a coward in not grabbing what is just important to you, especially if you're not hurting anybody. Enjoy the hobbies that you like without apology. Tell your mum no. Tell your dad no. Tell girls no if they go against what you like and believe. You like doing this. You like speaking this way. Don't apologize for who you are. Everyone's trying to formalize themselves to make everyone in the world happy so they get chosen, they get the job, they get the girlfriend, and they can't live there. They can't. You get the pat on the head. After the pat on the head, you don't want a pat on the head anymore. You want something more. So who gives a f about the stats, really? Sorry, I'm getting a bit passionate about this, but maybe it's kind of partly the residue of like the family dog passing away. Life is short. It's the cliche. Later on, you're just going to say, you worried about this? You're worried about breaking that cup? You're worried about that stranger you really liked for a week that dumped you? You're worried about that female pretty stranger that didn't even like you, that your fantasy didn't match who she was. Like you spent your life worrying about that and getting angry at her and making YouTube videos and posting for years because that really hurt you? What did you do with that hurt? What did you do? How did you take it? And like, how did you chew on it? And, I don't get it. I just don't get the lack of stubborn will and drive to enjoy your life and say, no, fuck it. I want to be happy. I want to enjoy my life. Like, yeah, things might be bad here. This happened bad, but what? I'm just going to recreate that moment? Are you going to recreate the bad moment and sit there in misery with a whole bunch of other people online in the same way you recreate a rare good moment where you were out of prison, like the feminists, and like where they felt a sense of freedom, and you just keep circling, hating and being miserable and holding on to something that energizes you but doesn't move you forward? Yeah, stats, whenever people tell me about stats, interesting. But if we're having a personal conversation about values, ethics, morals, and choices that you're going to make in your life, the people you want to pick, what a compatible person for you is, the stats are informative, but not really at the heart of how you should make decisions about the people in your life and what you should do. They really, really aren't. And the people that are just kind of religiously attached to the stats and, but human, this, 90% of this and 80% of this. It's like, nice. Go be a mathematician. You love numbers so much. Go be a mathematician. You're less of an artist than I am. You're less of an artist than I am. But what about the species, and where will the human race be in, like, I don't know. All I can do is be a person that I'm proud of today, that doesn't abuse people and abides by the golden rule. I think if people use that, the society would fix itself. It would be better and better. And then we could honestly start talking about, let's look further in 10 years and fix society. Like, what are you doing now? No one's an Elon Musk. None of us, very, very few of us, especially people watching this, none of us are an inch away from an important button that can fix the world, women, and society. You're not. You got the button you're really close to that you don't want to press is the personal choices you refuse to make because you're scared and or lazy. And I'm talking about myself here too. This is how I was for a long time. And I'm not some massive courageous hero, but the little victories I decided to kind of go towards and have are very important. The laws should be removed from human relationships. Yeah, I agree to a large extent. Anyway, any last questions? Let's wrap the stream up. I have not got a message from the family yet, so that's good. And yeah, any last questions or comments regarding this topic about how to pick someone for you? You know, the cost of someone versus their actual value to you. Because I see so many people on these podcasts pretending to be serious about working out men and women with stats, and it just amounts to, we're great, you're dumb. I'm smart, you're stupid. We're better, you're less than us. You need to submit to me, I'm the better than you. All that kind of stuff. Like, it's just a power game. I want to use you. Avoid people you hate. Avoid the girls that annoy you, but you won't, will you? You're like someone who can't stop drinking. Shout at alcohol all you want. Shout at McDonald's all you want for your obesity. Oh, we really got to take down the system and they really should do this and the government should. No. You just got to have a modicum of discipline. You got to stop throwing burgers down your mouth. You've got to go for a run. That's where it all starts. But no one wants to do this. No, but if we fix the laws, then everything would. No, it wouldn't. These utopian visions. You might think I'm being nihilistic, but I'm just tired of these people pointing to statistics and wanting the world to change through government and everyone to band together and these kind of online little groups thinking of them as armies that are going to change the world, where no one can even kind of leave their bedrooms and go out and talk to anyone else, to have a conversation. Yeah, I just see them on podcasts negotiating with the types of women they hate, trying to negotiate and work out relationships, shouting at women they detest. Yeah, that's really going to sharpen your skills with women. The kind of women I would never talk to, I'm going to talk to every day on a podcast. That'll sharpen my skills with the women I never talk to. It's like I play basketball, but I want to get better at soccer. It's just fucking dumb. I don't know. All right. I think I'm ranting too much, which is a good sign that I should probably leave. Yeah, no, don't negotiate with hot bimbos. Don't game them. Don't dominate them. Don't try and get them in your frame. Just leave. Reject all of the stuff that's just childish and irresponsible. Just have better friends, better conversations, watch better content. And pick what's good enough for you. Know what's good for you. That's good enough. If you want to have fun on Tinder, accept it, but stop pretending it's noble. I am looking for the one. You know what you are? Gesundheit. See? Can't help yourself, can you?
Sorry.
She was like, I wanna sit next to you and do some work, and it helps me know, okay, I'll pick a dynamic microphone so it doesn't hear her. And she's like, you sneeze like someone doing kung fu.
I know.
You're like breaking bricks in Bloodsport. All right. Striking It Rich says, I feel like most guys would like to date, but I feel the financial burden is the problem. Potentially supporting a woman and 2 to 3 young kids. A lot of men want to be financially stable first. I understand that. And that's being prudent. I get it. But that should be to a guy's benefit, knowing that, like, okay, I am building the structure of my life predominantly for myself, but also someone who's on the same page as me, who, if you want a family that's on the same page, whatever it is, right? But at least talking to people while you're not ready to pull the trigger of marriage right away, it gives you a bit of a buffer to exercise the social aspect of only going out with women who are on the same page as the journey you're taking, the life you're building. You want them in your life. You want someone who's got the same vision and the same intent. And so you have the time to do that. But some people just waste that time hooking up, traveling, short-term gratification. Same with these girls that spend their 20s traveling and banging millions of guys and saying, I'm going to be serious later. Same with guys who pretend to be serious now, saving their money and saying, yeah, I'm preparing for a family, but you're not. You're on Tinder, you're banging a whole bunch of random people you never want to settle down with. So practice the intent that you actually want to get to. You can have your fun, but reside in the place that's actually important to you. You can't say, well, I am going to write that book someday up ahead, but I'm never going to write. I'll write the bestseller up ahead. You won't. You have to practice what's important to you. I mentioned before, you have to maintain that which you really talk about what's important to you. You do. If you want kids, act the way someone who wants kids. Date the way someone who finds kids important. Date that way. You want a serious relationship? Date that way. You just want to be fun? You want to be a trollop? You want to be a guy who just has fun and goes from girl to girl? Do it, but don't pretend you're more stoic than me and smarter and all that. It is what it is. You're having fun. I fully get it. I spent a portion in my 30s where I had a lot of fun when I bought this house. I did. For what it was, I didn't want a serious relationship and I spent a lot of time having fun. Right. But when you want to take it, I'm not going to start now saying, no, I've always wanted to have fun and I'm looking for the right girl. And that period there, no, I was really serious, but I just happened to just drop into random beds and every week, every month or whatever. And I was just having a young, free and single life. But you have to be honest about it first. If you gaslight yourself, don't complain about women gaslighting you. You're all playing the same game. You stop gaslighting yourself. And this is the beauty. When you decide you're going to be honest with yourself and be real, you use that same language. And then you go on dates, you use the same language, or at least I hope you do. You start noticing the same kind of language coming back. And if you don't, you notice, well, no, that's me going backwards. That's the me who was hooking up before. That's the same kind of girls I was with before. Different outfit, same chick. Different hair color, different smile, different stories that I haven't heard of, same person. It's like it becomes almost like, most of you have Netflix or know about it, right? There's genres and categories. You usually go to thriller, horror, whatever you're into, right? There's categories you don't pick. You might not pick the LGBT like me, right? You don't click on that category. You don't click on, some of you might not like documentaries. After a while, when you make the decision and it almost disgusts you, you never click on that category. You're not even curious. And that's what those women become when you decide to take things seriously. But if you're gaslighting yourself that I am really watching horror movies while you watch comedies, then that's what you're doing with dating. Melee says, we focus on what can go wrong as opposed to what can go right. Yes. Protect yourself about what can go wrong. Quaz said this, be very aware of what you hate, what you don't like, and what's not compatible with you. Be very aware of that, but you also need to leave the gates of the prison and go out into the world and go your own way and not kind of stay at the freedom point. You guys aren't tempting me into a rant. This is all my doing. I take full responsibility. I could have left at any moment. I do this all the time. I say, I'm about to leave, and then I stay. But in my defense, there is a delay in the stream, and I'm giving you guys 1 or 2 minutes. But I think I should go now. Yeah. Any further super chats or comments during the stream? Let me know also what you think of the microphone, if anyone's curious. The microphone I'm using, I think, is the Lewitt 550DM running through a Rodecaster Pro, and my camera is a EOS R6. All right, I think that's it. I'll wait for the last comments, and while I wait, I'll read some of these. I left a post that said, just because someone is objectively beautiful doesn't mean they're your type. It seems many people have lost the courage to know who they are and what they like. We like to argue about what a high-value person is. We chase and negotiate with difficult yet attractive people simply because the market out there says that we should. It's like we're competing. It's like we're compelled to pounce on that last Faberge egg sitting on the shelf before someone else gets their hands on it, rather than ask ourselves, do I even like Faberge eggs? Yes. Let's discuss the differences between the price of something and the value of it to you on the stream. Now, I asked the question, just because someone's attractive doesn't mean they're for you. The comments I got are, Accidental Hero said, the purpose is not to find something so attractive about someone that you call them your type. It's truer when you see someone who you are initially physically attracted to. You check them out, but it's really the imagination you're having of them that makes you think they're your type. You want to make sure that their physical presence is comfortable, their looks are good, good character, good etiquette, good sense of humor, intelligence, all of these good things. And I would add compatibly good, not just objectively. They're they're quality, but they're not for you quality. The example I give, I was into colognes a while ago. I can recognize a really good quality cologne, but I also know what smells good for me and what I like smelling on myself. But I can recognize certain colognes and fragrances with men. It's like, yep, full respect, brilliant cologne, but that's not me. He continues. All these things are good. Sometimes you're going to have to ask, such as, what is your opinion? What is your belief? What is your feeling? What do you think? What are your fears? Blah, 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 and so on. You get to know all the good things about the person and the bad, I might add, but that person doesn't mean they're your type. That would be misguided. You're not going to find virtues and appealing things so that you can call those things your type. You want a person, not their qualities. You want a person, not their qualities. Yeah, objectively, someone can believe and say everything, and someone can have qualities that you admire, but not in the ways that fit into your life, your ethics, and the way you want to live. But they are things that you applaud. You give them a gold star, but you don't want to be around them all the time. They're not comfortable to be around. They always want to go left when you want to go right in life. And Accidentally Hero concludes, he says, in other words, a person in which you may be personal and important to each other. Yes. David P says, I used to always go for the universally super attractive women, the ones that everyone wanted. After dating a couple of them, I began to wonder why everyone wanted them. They weren't more special than the plain women, although they certainly thought they were. After doing a lot of soul searching, I'm learning that someone's character is more important than their looks. I think everyone, after a while, gets worn down and they realize this. Actually, this is a very common thing. The woman I'm dating now is very attractive to me, but she also has a good character. She's honest, responsible, has integrity, and while these are things I don't, and although there are things I don't like about her, those aren't deal breakers. Okay. Luke says, doesn't mean they are worth your time and attention either. Yep. Rocket responded, said, good point. I found after 2 marriages that I can no longer afford female companionship. Luke says, so you're saying you had the resources for 2 marriages. You've done really well then. Rocket says, sometimes I wonder why I tried for so long. When you are looking for something after a while, you should give up. It's the sensible thing to do. It's true, especially if you know you're only the way you are, you like what you like, and you just wouldn't be interested in doing things in a different way. I'm that way too with the way I speak and the way I conduct myself. I can't be any other way. And I like being me. So I don't like being someone else. But if you have character traits that annoy you and you'd rather change and life would be easier and it would be better if you weren't like this, you wouldn't hate being rid of this, then that's different. Melee says, well, we can't say you didn't try. It'd be hard to look at a situation when you're in blah, 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 so to speak. David says, excellent point. By the way, by the time my marriage had imploded, I was deep in denial and still thinking I can save this. Had I taken more objective perspective and seen what my ex was actually doing, I would have ended this much sooner. Yeah, that's common. Why didn't I do this sooner is the shame. Melee says, you'd be surprised how many men have been in similar situations as well. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. Rocket, 2 marriages. I want to shake your hands right now because you survived. All right, Melee says, I can see your perspective with respect to attractive women. Many times they are not worth your effort or time as a return of investment. No problem. What is happening in modern times, attractive, not the attractive, average or below average, are getting a lot of attitudes now, and women, a majority think they are attractive. Yeah, a lot of women think they're attractive, the majority, especially in the West. It is a very skewed market and not sustainable. And here we are. Seems to be a lot more Western culture countries as I've noticed, and women get dramatically influenced by social media, etc. You know the methodology. I know my worth. I will leave you with a sports analogy. We all want to play in the NBA to make millions of dollars, etc., and think we are entitled to it, etc. But how many will make the NBA based on our number of tryouts? That's the modern woman for the majority of Western culture. Yes. Okay. I don't want to read that, YouTube. Ram says, I found a girl probably a close perfect as I'm likely to ever find in this life. Alas, the ways in which she's imperfect are quite crucial and critical. That's the hard thing. You meet someone with all the qualities you want, but you can't live with the incompatible qualities. Sometimes those trade-offs are nothing. I've mentioned this before. One of my no-goes, I will not date a girl that smoked. I met a girl with great qualities and she smoked. Doesn't matter. But sometimes it's like, no, for anyone, I don't care. In my case, it was women who wanted kids. Everything's great, but if you want kids, that's not something small. That's a line I can't cross. I can't give you that because I'll become a different person. I will have to want things that I don't want, and I should want kids. I can't just not want them, resent having my life changed for them, and just be a good guy for you and the species. I can't. At least I'm trying to be honest about it, and I don't want to lie to you. I'm not going to use you or a child. He continues, I certainly thought that someone who thinks themselves ugly, unliked, and is afraid of being ultimately alone would at least give a chance to someone who found them sexy in only their house clothes, liked them a great deal, and wanted to put that fear to rest for good. Instead of, I got family zoned, pigeonholes as cousin, we are extended family, not even blood related. Worst part of it is that I love my labor, and my labor were, still are, and will forever foreseeably be needed. Yet I was not wanted enough to be kept or brought back after being so cruelly devastated. I give her the opportunity to let me down easy when I could handle it before I'd fallen hard for her, and it's like she waited until the wrecking ball would do the most damage. Yeah, a lot of people don't like the feeling of shame and guilt, and they will just avoid it. They just don't want to feel bad. And it really comes off as cruel. They don't want to face the uncomfortable thing. It's like, I don't want to be negative. I don't want to feel guilty. And to other people, it just comes off as cruel. At that point, it doesn't matter if she's your type. Okay. All right. We are done. I got a message on my phone from my mum. So yeah, we'll find out what happened to Chester, the family dog. I hope whatever the news is not something really terrible, but whatever it is, we'll deal with it, I guess. You have to. All right. Have a good weekend. Thanks for showing up, guys. I hope you got something out of this conversation and stream. I'll see you in the next video or live stream. Leave your comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Jump on Discord after this if you want to chat with each other. I can't. As I said, I've got more important things to do. No offense, but I know if the intelligent among you will know that real-life family issues are more important than spending some enjoyable time with you guys online, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.